Water is the number one nutrient in our chickens, and so its number one thing in the wintertime is to keep water in front of our chickens that it's clean, fresh, and thawed out. So here's 3 things to think about and products to think about to beat the wintertime this year. So when the wintertime comes and water is freezing, what is your guys' method of attack to keep fresh water in front of your chickens? I'd love you to put it down below and we can see what everybody else is doing to keep fresh water in front of their chickens. What we used ourselves is these pan heating bowls. You can take the galvanized water that you're using spring through fall and you can put it on that pan heater. It allows that pan heater to come up. It's thermostat controlled, so it's only going to use the electricity that it needs to go and raise that water temperature above freezing, and it's only going to kick on when the water is below freezing. Water is the number one nutrient in our chickens, and so its number one thing in the wintertime is to keep water in front of our chickens that it's clean, fresh, and thawed out. Another thing to think about is lighting situation. So the chickens need 14 to 16 hours of daylight to lay productively. Unfortunately, in the wintertime, our days start to get shorter. So we need to assimilate the situation, that 14 to 16 hours of daylight, with artificial light. We're going to use a heat lamp with an LED light bulb in there. The LED light bulb keeps it cost effective, and really they don't need the heat unless it gets bitterly cold because they have the fluff underneath them. We just need to make certain that they're not able to get out of the sunlight or the sunlight for 14 to 16 hours a day. So if it takes 2 heat lamps to put in there so that they can't get out of that light, sometimes that's what it needs to be, because if we have a dark area in our chicken coops, those chickens are always going to go over there to get out of that light. Then it gets bitterly cold, we need to be switching over to a 125 or a 250 heat lamp bulb. That way it gives our chickens some warmth. I've also seen heating elements that you can stick on the sides of chicken coops that work really good, that are thermostat controlled. And I've used some heat elements that set on the sides of chickens or hang over top of their heads that work really good for it. So there's some really good things out on the market. Do you guys use one of those products that are heating elements for keeping it warm and not using a heat lamp bulb with your heat lamps? Be more cost effective. So in the wintertime, another common problem that we're going to figure out is that mites are most prevalent. And that's my third thing that I wanted to talk about today, diatomaceous earth. So diatomaceous earth is really good at taking care of the crawling mites and crawling parasites that are going to affect our chickens. Mites are going to chew on the feathers, and you're going to see my chicken's feathers and your chicken's feathers are going to look chewed on. Those are a lot of times coming from mites being in the chickens. We need to put the diatomaceous earth on the back of their neck. We need to put it on their vent. We need to flip the chicken over and put it underneath their wings. And then we need to put it on their back and dust the chickens completely with it. And then we also are going to put it on the floor of the chicken coop before we put our bedding down in the chicken coop. So, do you guys like to use straw, pine shavings, or something else to bed your chickens in the wintertime? I'm really interested to see what kind of bedding everybody uses. We personally always use pine shavings. It was really ample supply for us, and we thought that it worked the best as an insulator. So this winter time, just remember that you need to have fresh water, whether you're using a heating base, which you can put metal galvanized waters on. I've seen electric heaters that are actually in the plastic drinkers there, and then some people are going to be busting out the ice. We just need to make certain that we have fresh, clean, and thawed out water in front of our chickens at all times. we need to make certain that we have a light source. So they need 14 to 16 hours of daylight to be laying. Then they need the heat when it's going to be bitterly cold outside. Then we also want to have some diatomaceous earth on hand if we have some problems with the mites. If you learned something in this video, I'd really appreciate you liking and subscribing to follow along with our poultry video journey and sharing this with your friend. I hope that you have a nice day. Bye.